Kuzangpo and a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week. I'm Tandin Finso. In this week's top stories, His Majesty the King graced the first convocation of technical and vocational graduates. 276 families of Samsi and Phinseling will be affected by the upcoming Amuchu hydropower project, and the Bhutan Kunam Party submitted its application for registration with the Election Commission on Tuesday and became the first aspiring political parties to register with the Election Commission of Bhutan. His Majesty the King graced the first convocation of technical and vocational graduates held in the capital on Wednesday. Addressing the graduates, His Majesty the King wished the graduates success in fulfilling their aspirations of nation building.
The first convocation of the Technical, Vocational Education and Training Institutes saw over 1,000 graduates from across the country, including those from the Institute of Suri Chusum. In his address at the convocation ceremony, His Majesty the King shared words of wisdom with the graduates. His Majesty spoke of the values and beliefs that bring happiness and success.
Rango Randuki Mugildi, Ten Dubachin, Tachilabdu Zumberil, Chara Jamji member Chara Pinchal, Charaki Amsugi Pincha, Yanchi Mobigi Pincha, Koke Lupentobel. Check higher Gato to Kitonto, Lochutamki Jable Tariwa Tape du Subachin, Ranji Be, Nachera Pendi Dubi Gahabde, Dindi the Legimi Anusa. Che Kauchi, Che Nato. His
Majesty also spoke about the importance of self-reliance in moving a country forward and how an individual can contribute in nation building. In the last 7 years, about 2,500 trainees graduated with various skills from the technical and vocational training institutes across the country. Compiled for Sonompinso, Dishinongmo, BBS News.
His Majesty the King also granted an audience to the 5th batch of Desups currently undergoing the month-long program at the Military Training Center in Tinchling, Wongdifodrang early this week. Addressing the Desups, His Majesty commended their services and their unprecedented enthusiasm.
The 5th Desung training program began on 3rd of this month and will end on 3rd of November. There are 116 Desups in the 5th batch, 86 men and 30 women. Addressing the Desups, His Majesty the King commended their participation and said it clearly speaks about their strong sense of responsibility.
The fact that you've sacrificed your time, you're committed to training, becoming a part of Desup, and then of course someday you'll volunteer your time and energy towards serving your country. What I would have normally done is ask you all to serve your country well. But the fact that you all are here means that you all are on the right path.
His Majesty also had some valuable advice for them. Be patient. Do not make mistake by rushing things.
In your careers and relationship, with your hopes and dreams, expectations, with your future, don't rush. Pace yourself wisely. Know what you want and go for it, sir. Give it your best.
Started in 2010, the Desung Integrated Training Program is in its 3rd year. So far, 584 volunteers have undergone the training program. The program saw volunteers from all walks of life, old and young, and from different professional backgrounds, including drungpins, drungsos, teachers, medical professionals, engineers, private entrepreneurs, and university graduates. Meanwhile, His Majesty also granted audience to 123 Royal Bhutan Army personnel who helped in the last phase of the project to lower the level of Tortormi Lake in Nunana. The RBA rendered assistance following requests from the government to supplement manpower shortage. Pemotsuki for BBS News.
276 families will be affected by the upcoming Amuchu hydropower project, and for many of them it is the land substitution and compensation that they are worried about. This was expressed during a consultative meeting between the hydro project stakeholders and the affected households from 5 gyoks of Samtsi and Chuka held on Monday.
The Ammochu hydropower project will require close to 5,200 acres of land. Of this, a little over 500 belong to 276 families from the 5 gyoks of Chuka and Samtsi. The 5 gyoks are Fintiling and Lokchina of Chuka and Dofuchen, Tading and Tenchuka of Samtsi. Considering the not-so-effective land substitution and compensation status in other hydropower project areas in the country, the affected villagers said government should provide them with land substitution and compensation before taking ownership of their land.
If our land substitutes could be provided before, then it would be convenient for us, as we don't have to run from pillar to post for compensation at a later stage.
Responding to this, Chuka Zondo Pemodoji said the hydropower project, being time-bound, must start as scheduled to avoid any negative repercussions on the project.
The project is not just our government's undertaking. It involves stakeholders from outside the country as well. That is how we should see.
For some, it was a question of uniform land compensation rates, and for others it was about assuring timely substitution and compensation. To ensure speedy compensation and substitution, the Dzongkhag has already streamlined the procedures. Chuka Zongrop said a committee including representatives from the affected villages will be involved in identifying government land from where the land substitution will be provided, and promised that the affected people will be informed at the earliest. Some also expressed concerns over the fate of the Lhop community of Dopuchen Gyok in Samtsi. The project, they said, would endanger the age-old tradition and culture of the Lhops.
I asked if there is any problem for them in moving to another place, then they said since the project is of national importance, they have no problem. Had it been 1 or 2 households, there could have been some problems, but they are being moved as one community with 35 households. I don't think it would be a problem.
Costing over 43 million neutrum, the project is expected to begin next year and to take about 5.5 years to complete. Compiled for Sonamongdi, Dishinongmo, BBS News.
Bhutan Kunam Party submitted its application for registration with the Election Commission on Tuesday. It is the first party in the making to register with the Election Commission. The party made its intention to contest in the next elections public earlier in June.
With 5 coloured circles, which seemingly look like a conch as its logo, Bhutan Kunam Party becomes the first aspiring political party in the country to register with ECV. Interim Party President Sonam Topke submitted the registration application this morning. The application package includes a copy of party charter among many other documents. Submission of the application is the first step of the registration process. ECB will now review the application before declaring it a political party. The review process will be guided by Chapter 8 of Election Act, which mandates political parties to fulfill certain standards. Meanwhile, the other emerging political parties have missed the October-end registration. In earlier interviews with BBS, they said they would register by the end of this month. Duk Chiwang Tsokpa said they are in the final phase of translating party charter from English to Dzongkha and hope to register on the 2nd of November. While Duk Namrup Tsokpa said the election date is not clear and that knowing the date is key to their registration. But ECV says the election date would likely be confirmed only towards end of this year. Compiled for Sonam Punso, Dishinongmo, BBS News.
The number of tourists visiting the remote gyoks of Se and Lingji has increased sharply over the years. This has immensely benefited the people of the 2 gyoks.
The scenic beauty of Lingji and Se gyoks never cease to attract visitors, especially tourists. The journey to the 2 gyoks is long and grueling. altitude sickness can knock you down. But the sheer beauty of the landscape of the two Gyeogs is worth all the challenge and risk. And one thing that surely is rewarding is the glimpse of Jomolhari, one of the highest peaks in the country. The breathtaking splendors of Lingji and Se are not just an incredible visual delight, but have become an invaluable wealth for the community. It attracts tourists from all over the world, and the number of tourists has increased drastically in the last 2 years. The Tourism Council of Bhutan says the number has increased by threefold since 2010. The Prime Minister, in his recent visit to the Gyeogs, told the public that they should nurture the beauty of their places and continue to maintain it in its pristine condition at all cost.
코나로 온 거면이 나기 싸디 가노 가토토 나기 미세수 남은 삼에기 튼독도 미세기 합디 레벨ten 되게 보면매 때 자기 나로 공기 파악지 가깝기미 많이 가득처럼 온데게라 버려 쭉 챕달로 구수 삼보세 좀세세베 제칼에 된거 말아 같이 때 두비게 미디 마저치도 미디 차저치도 대남의 삼에게 잠바던 인지 비기 민배 세디기배 나치로 이치에디기배 홍아실 쳐보면매 때들에 지디 랑기 싸고디 hin사서베 샤고비 요러스베 와친 뎁주 할미터 명 쇼쿠 깁쇼라 세메소 제기 가휴다다 프로 코만다 말아.
During the tourist season, almost all the households of Se and Lingji are engaged in transportation of their bags and other loads. About 70% of the people of these Gyeogs make their living through the sale of yak products. With the increase in the number of tourists, they have been able to sell more of their products, enabling them to earn better income.
펜도데 레짐유라 dakshile kongi tetsugi achigi le misiti tsugara le yadap juwe lejimbe라 유스슈니라
스타실디 레샤 옹모khane wasnale bate 도데 소케 베khale te tada yadabe te dajukhale tani ngashi misile 옹밥 de bomra yula tatarnabala.
The increase in the number of tourists is no doubt improving the income of the people. The dark side, however, is the adverse impacts of the tourism on their lifestyle. At least for now, everything seems intact. Compelled for Kazangtile, Tishinongmo, BBS News.
Lingji is known for medicinal herbs, and these herbs used to be one of the main sources of income for the people of the Gyeog. But from the day cordyceps came into scene, medicinal plants lost its value in the eyes of the Lingji community.
Lingji Gyeog is home to a large reserve of a variety of medicinal plants. As the second important source of income after dairy products, medicinal plants once used to be the gold of the Gyeog. Not anymore. Cordyceps changed everything. Given its high market value, cordyceps is all that counts for many in Lingji, and over the years, as cordyceps earned them huge amount of money, they had even less reason to focus on medicinal plants. Meeting the people during his recent visit to the Gyeog, Prime Minister urged them not to abandon medicinal herb collection. Lynchen said people must find ways and means to revive their interest in medicinal herbs.
등에만 배워진 대체기 원후디 랑게 샤마 다시 zondegibe chugo zondegibe tobe걸로 감민우 때니걸로 제기 원후치디 때가 저러나게 때면 기 릴레 때면 사디임베 디기 첼 원후로 토베 단 야서 김법디 슈테스로 텐데기베 때딜로 제기 단되면도 때대 카치도도지 이 아니데 때 단도 책이 나면 삼기 단도 개디기베 나면 삼면 마투디기베로 대예데 맨제 라셔치레 예데 당하기 따와친 당아 체력이 법잠치고 나서 마당을 배심래 아니 맨제데 나서 땅먹이 땅되기 배심래 대다즈 배고 농매 캡사 잠치고 나서 마당 개와 줍니기 나서 땅나 말해 똑갈라.
Currently, there are more than 50 indigenous hospitals in the country, as the indigenous medicinal services expand, dwindling interest in medicinal herbs among the people of Lingxi is not a good sign.
또 신고미데 고마라 다른 내갑지 콩루나 예르조 규법기 공법디 버치도도 유니디기 땡가치기 남베멘디 남섬에다 공시디 슝기 공실리 티디기베 땡가치기 좀 모소네디기 다안을 아지지 당도 다 냠수지 조데
Lynchen assured that they will look into the matter and told the people not to give up on medicinal plants, which was a major source of their income before cordyceps took over it. Compiled for Kesang Tinle, this is Pemal Harden for BBS News.
Participants of the annual Drukpa Council at the Hemis Monastery in Ladakh broke the previous world record of planting most saplings. They planted more than 99,000 saplings in 50 minutes on Monday. The plantation was certified by the Guinness Book of World Records. The plantation was a part of 1 Million Trees project, the most extensive plan to strengthen Himalayan environment ever taken in the history. Close to 10,000 people planted the trees. His Holiness Gyalwang Drukpa Rinpoche and Home Minister Minju Doji also took part in the event. The previous record of planting most trees was set in the Philippines last year, where they planted just over 64,000 saplings in 15 minutes. The feeder road from Dakpe to Kikhar in Jamgang is in terrible condition, and the roads department officials are blaming the local community for it. They say the local community who were entrusted with the responsibility of maintaining the road backed away from their responsibilities.
15-kilometer feeder road from Drakthe to Kikhar was constructed in 1994. The regular maintenance of the road was handed over to the local community.
Since the road was constructed with funds from the World Bank, we handed over the responsibility of regular maintenance to the local people on a community contract basis.
Until 2005, the Kikhar community carried out maintenance work on the feeder road regularly, and then they stopped.
They wanted an increase in the daily wage rate following the revision of the daily wage rate for the national workforce. When this did not happen, the community asked us to hand over the maintenance work back to the Department of the Roads.
People refused to work after their demand for wage hike was refused. And now there is no one to work. The Department of Roads does carry out some works, but they do not have enough people. In the process, the road condition is deteriorating.
Meanwhile, the regular road users are crying foul over the worsening condition.
They try to maintain the road only when high officials visit here, but not many visit since ours a remote village.
You slip and fall many times on the road because of the holes. It is very difficult to drive.
Gyok authorities said it would be better if the road could be black-topped.
We even discussed the issue in the last Songkak Chokdu. The problem could be solved if the road could be blacktop.
But this is not possible. Road officials said feeder roads are not eligible for black topping, but they said maintenance of the feeder road will be carried out soon. Compiled for Pema Samdrup, this is Pemal Harden for BBS News.
In what is seen as a major step in taking forward the Bhutan Education City project, its board was launched. The board has 14 members, including the chairperson.
The 14-member board replaces the earlier empowered group that was formed to guide the Bhutan Education City's project policies and regulatory issues. However, most of the empowered members have been taken in as board members, as they have been involved in the project right from the beginning. The members also include a representative from the private sector and the GURBS of Mewang and Dogar Giwoks. The chairperson of the board is Works and Human Settlement Minister. DHI Infra, a subsidiary of DHI, has been managing the initial work components of the project. The works include the feasibility study, concept development, and groundwork for the formulation of organizational structure and legal framework. At the launch, the chairman of the DHI and DHI Infra handed over the project to the board chairman. However, DHI will continue to look after the project for the next 6 months. At a press conference following the launch, Lempo Yishizimba described the launching of the board as a major milestone in the government's effort to establish Bhutan as an international education hub. The first task of the board is to look into the formation of BEC Secretariat. The infrastructure developments such as road and water supply are expected to take off from January next year. The education city will be established at Wansisina, where government has already identified 1,000-acre land. Sonam Lamu for BBS News.
Stereotyping an attitude that men make a better leader discourages women to participate in decision-making, says a study carried out by the National Commission for Women and Children.
बाहिरको काम केटाले नै ठिकै हो रहेछ गर्नु भित्रको काम त भ्याउँदैन रहेछ केटाले त केटीले नै हो रहेछ सबै हेर्नु पर्ने
को अझै कतैजुर पप थुंकी अनि या थसरा बेसिरु मेरो अझै फोजेदरा ते थवेस्नु मला.
In a society where gender stereotypes and attitudes run deep, women are portrayed as less capable than men. While definitely more men hold such views than women, women also share this misplaced gender beliefs.
Pogi dravela ro yonte yimi disra dravela da amso disuti te achi share da jimi pogera drave
ngachi amsugi de mola asise ani yada ma ju telen phada chu namsme ani la namse gem ko bombe pawachi mola pogera ach traung se phada su jure ach poge traung.
Women are generally considered emotional, soft, passive, and weak, and these characteristics altogether sum up that women cannot make a good leader or politics are purely masculine activities. A study report by National Commission for Women and Children shows attitude and stereotypes combined with lack of education and training discourage women participation in decision-making and particularly at local government. NCWC says these issues can only be addressed if tackled simultaneously.
The female students as a possible resource of the country. So, one hand we are building the supply. Okay, we are improving on the supply. On the other hand, we are building a demand which is willing to accept what is being supplied. So, one hand we are talking about educating girls, that is supply. On the other hand, creating a demand which is willing, which will accept, which will appoint, which will elect such kind of possible aspiring leaders.
The study shows that these outlooks lead women to have lower expectation of themselves, of their leadership capacity and their role in politics. They also suffer from low self-esteem and poor image. A case study from the country's first local government election last year shows of over 1,000 posts at the local government, about 80 posts are held by women currently. Sonofunso for BBS News.
With the training of 360 monks under the mega ICT project Chifen Rikfil, the Drasang Hensok completes its target of the 10th five-year plan. The 2.05 billion Nultram Chifen Rikfil is a multi-pronged project committed to create an ICT-enabled society in the next 2 years.
Away from their daily duties of ritual and comfort in books, monks are a step closer to take an ICT to a new height in the country. Primarily launched in 2010, Chifen Rikfil is an inclusive ICT project preparing even monks in national aspiration of an IT-enabled knowledge economy. At the award ceremony for their computing literacy, conducted through the support of Chifen Rikfil and NIIT, the monks said ICT promises a new beginning.
We have gone through Microsoft Office Word, we have learned Microsoft Office Excel, we have learned Microsoft Office PowerPoint, and we have learned Microsoft Office Publisher.
The Drasang Lensok had planned to train 500 monks in the 10th 5-year plan, of which more than 140 were trained by the Drasang Lensok themselves. Monastic body represents a sizable number of countries' population where ICT could be a target for a successful e-governance process.
It makes the communication very easy. And then secondly, it enhances learning knowledge, because through that you can learn so much. Also, it helps in keeping ourselves together. That way, I think the monastic body could also keep up with the pace of ICT development outside the monastic body.
In its third year today, the 5-year project will have trained more than 25,000 leaders, youths, teachers and professionals, including monks, through use of information and communications technology. Sonam Phunso for BBS News.
That's all we have for you this week. Join us next week again, same time, as we bring you a selection of our best stories from the week. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.